Episode 17 is Martin Stewart. Martin played for Huntly from 1991 to 2005. 489 games, 309 goals, 6 Highland League championships, 4 qualifying cup winners' medals, 3 Highland League Cup winners, 5 Aberdeenshire Cups, 2 Highland League Young Player of the Year awards, in 1994, 1995, Tennant Scottish Cup top scorer. The list goes on and on. Fantastic player, probably one of the best strikers of the last 40 years. And that's actually a quote from someone on Martin in the Highland League. Martin was one of the members of the squad that actually won 5 straight Highland League titles from 1994 to 1998. I hope you enjoy the episode. Okay, episode 17, we're back. It's not an Elgin City episode for once. It's going to be a Huntly episode. We've got a 6-time Highland League winner, a 4-time qualifying cup winner, a 3-time Highland League Cup winner, a 5-time Aberdeenshire Cup winner, 2-time Highland League Young Player of the Year, and the 1994-95 Tennant Scottish Cup top scorer, Martin Stewart. Welcome.
Hi, thanks very much, Lee.
That's quite a list, Martin.
It sounds impressive.
I'm kind of cheekily says we're not an Elgin City episode. We've had a run of about 3 or 4 Elgin City episodes, and I just wanted to change it up. And I put out the shout out for Huntly players because, to me, that's probably the most exciting Highland League team of the last 30 years, in my opinion. One of the names that sticks out is your own, Martin. The other names I can throw into there is probably Eddie Copeland, Brian Thompson, Gary White, Dave Morland, Pelly Patterson at the kind of the head of things as well. Doug Rugby. Anyone else I'm missing it?
Oh, lots of them.
Yeah, lots of them. Yeah,
there's lots of them.
Looking into it, I was actually looking in. There's 8 of you that were there during the 5. Martin, can you name all 8, including yourself?
Yeah, I was Neil Grant, Alan Selby, John Gardner, Eddie Copeland, Gary White, Craig Yates, myself, Arthur Murphy.
Yeah.
And Willie Lawson was assistant manager for him as well.
Yeah. 5 in a row. Never been done before, never been done since.
No, and you would think it's highly unlikely it'll be done again with the pyramid. If somebody's good enough to have 5 shots at it, do you think they'll get up one of them? But you never know.
Yep. Okay, straight in, Martin. How good a football player were you as a kid, and what age did you realise you had a wee bit of potential?
Well, I would say nothing special. I mean, at Huntly, it's a boys' league. You started under 8s, and it was not until we went in at secondary school that there was competitive football against other teams. In Huntly, I was not like now you get youth football away, and back in that day I was nothing. I mean, under 8s was full size pitch with a plastic bar. But can
I get that anymore? Like,
no, you didn't. You're not allowed that probably. But I just said nothing startling. I mean, I played up front. You scored a few goals, but like in the boys' league, it was like if there was a team of 10 against 10, it was probably like 2 against 2. You know what I mean? Again, the rest of them were just running about, not even interested.
Yeah.
And we got to secondary school. It was a school team, but again, we weren't great. But I certainly didn't stand out with one of the rest of them. And
was there any players apart from yourself in your school team in the Huntly kind of youth that was coming through at the time, Martin?
No, it was a boy, Neil Knox. He was the best player, but he ended up, he went to university in Edinburgh and he stays in the States now, so football was secondary for him. Like Neil Nicol, he played in goal. He was in goal for us at one point, and some of the other boys said, but we were nothing startling. Again, and through myself and Neil Knox got into the Aberdeenshire select, and it was for that I got we used to go to Pittodrie once a week for training.
Yeah.
And saying it was a Tuesday, you got afternoon off school, you was allowed to go into Pittodrie training, and again for that I got signed for a team again with Neil Knox. Maybe I was just there as a pal of his again. So we were signed for this Middlefield County they were a good team. There are a lot of players for Northfield for were the best school team. So
yeah,
I played there, but played in defence. Couldn't get a game up front, and then under 16s it stopped, and I was nowhere to go really. So I just played for Huntly Amateurs.
Aye.
And was never a time I realised I was decent, not even at that point. But I suppose I kind of changed. I got Tiger Porter for, you say it's near Elgin City, but here's a link to Elgin City. Tiger used to work in Huntly at RB Farker, and they were in a Scottish Cup run anyway, and I think whoever the striker was, something happened, he got injured or something, and Tiger, he must have asked somebody to Farker, he must have kent about me or hurt if I was on day anyway. I got the shout, came up, played a game, and then the next game was the quarter-final against Morton, so went down there and managed to score a winner, 2-1, and played a few other league games and that, and we got to semi-final against Dundee United. We got beat 7-1 in the semi-final, but at that, and then I was offered, Mikey Winton was the manager of Elgin, he offered me a contract, and that's after it went a bit wrong, because on the Monday night, I was supposed to sign on the Wednesday night, and the Monday night, Huntly played, Elgin City youth team played Huntly at Huntly.
Okay.
And Pele had got wind somebody for Huntly was playing for Elgin City and scoring goals. Why did he not ken about him? Blah, blah. He was waiting to speak to me, but again, Tiger wasn't letting it happen. Again, he was like my bodyguard that night. But then, of course, they have to go back to Elgin, and I walk home, and then this boy for the club said Pele's went to phone me. And back then, there's no mobiles. It's phone you on who's phoning him last night. So he phoned. I mean, I used to go and watch Huntly, but I wasn't, I have to play for Huntly. It never even crossed my mind. I've been quite happy playing for Huntly amateurs. It wouldn't have bothered me one bit.
Yeah.
But he signed us I agreed to sign, and I signed on a Friday night. And then, obviously, I let Elgin do, I mean, it's not great doing that, but as I said before, I think if Tiger couldn't have seen us, Pele got a speck to me, that would be maybe it.
Yep.
But then, I would never have thought I would have had a career I would have at that point. Again, I was happy enough to sign for Huntly, but I wasn't a here or there about it, to be honest.
Aye.
I've been even signed for anybody high in league or that. I wasn't that bothered, as I say.
Was we kind of mentioned before you came on, you're a Dundee United fan growing up, Martin. Who were your football idols growing up? Was it Dundee United based, or was it kind of?
No, the same. My football idol would have been Kenny Dalglish. I'm a Liverpool fan and as a youngster, it would have been. I'm more a Liverpool fan. I'm a Dundee United fan now, if I'm perfectly honest. Kind of. I mean, Dundee United in the 80s, I used to be well into it, but not so much new, if I'm honest. But Dalglish would have been my hero, if you'd like.
Which your it's actually a question I've not asked in a few episodes. What's your first World Cup memories, Martin?
Well, I can mine 82 in Spain. I mine that, and the thing I mine is the memory about that is Marco Tardelli scoring against Brazil with the veins coming out. That's what I mine about that. That was the thing.
Aye.
That would be the first memory I would have. I would only been 9 then. So.
A good Scotland team back then as well. Very good Scotland team.
I mean, Scotland's had very good teams.
Yep.
I mean, I ken a boys for Ken's about Fitbit, and he tells me that Molly McLeod was ridiculed. He says, but Scotland had a exceptional team in 1978, and they should have went a lot farther. But that was just a bit before my time. But
yep. No, I agree. They had a world class team at the time. Okay, 3, Martin. Who is the best player you've played against in your career? Can I kind of do that? That? Can I give you the best player you've played against, and can I get the best goalkeeper you've played against?
All right. Well, a direct opponent in the Highland League, I would say definitely Davy Morland. He became a teammate at Huntly, but he played for Cove for a number of years. He just streets ahead of him I've ever seen in the Highland League, without a shadow of doubt. He's played sweeper, and he read a game unbelievably good. He's got a reputation. I mean, he is a hard man and all that, but he could play. And another thing I would say would be Willie Firth at Elgin. Again, a sweeper, same kind of era and same kind of player. Again, I'm pretty sure he went to play at Ross County after that. But that's a direct opponent. The best player I've seen in the Highland League, I would pick out 2. Charlie Christie at Carley, Ryan's dad, and Gary Farker when he played for Brora. He played for Carley at a time in St Johnstone now, but when he came on the scene at Brora, he was unbelievably good. But he maybe just didn't hear the. He's a bit of a lad, I think.
Off the field.
I can't off the field, but he was exceptional. But the best player I've ever played against, and this was, I was on trial at Aberdeen for a week, and I seen up close Jim Bett, and it was unbelievable. Again, like you play boxes before you start training. I never ever lost the bar, never looked like losing the bar, and it played games against him, and he was just unbelievable. I never realised how good when you see it up close.
Yeah.
He was. That's it. I'm just thinking that would be the exceptional, I say. Goalkeeper, the best goalkeeper I've seen in Highland League was at Elgin City again. Craig Hinchcliffe, I would have said, was the best I've seen at our time. I played in a select when we played Highland League select in St Albans. Pele's last before he went to Cali, and Hinch, he was the goalie there. He was good.
Fantastic. Flip side, best player you played with?
Well, if I'm asked this question, I'll always say Stevie Lennox was the best player. He was the centre midfield playmaker for Huntly. Always went to the bar, no matter how far it was. Simple, and he never, nothing fancy. He just knitted it all together, got the bar, put it on, just linked it all together. But personally, for the best player for my career was definitely Gary White.
Yeah.
I played up front with Brian Thompson and Gary White, but Brian left and Pele left, so it was only for a few years. But Gary was there most of my career, and like he's perceived as this target man, but he could play on the deck and all. But he would be up for the challenges. He took all the hits and everything, and I just cleared the space for me to run through. So I would definitely say Stevie Lennox is the best player I've seen, but best player I've played with. But White was the best player for me.
Yeah. Between yourself, Brian Thompson and Gary White, how many goals do you reckon the 3 years got for Huntly?
Yeah, I can for 3 years. We got 90 plus 3 years in a row.
Yeah.
Because I'm saying Brian left when Pele went to Cali, which would have been 95, wasn't it?
Did the 3 years just kind of complement each other perfectly?
Well, it was a 4-4-2 we played, but like it was me and Gary up front, but Brian would be like the attacking midfielder, which suited him coming on the bar because he had a shot like you wouldn't believe.
Yeah.
He's running on, he's hitting things for 30 yards. But Gary took it, the bar came up, Gary held it up or flicked it on or all that, and we fed on the scraps. But no, it just clicked. It was just,
yep.
It was in the right place at the right time.
Okay. Yeah, 489 games, 309 goals, Martin. What's your best goal? We could probably two-part this as well. Probably, what do you think your most important goal, and what's your best goal, you think?
The best goal I scored, and probably nobody, it was against Peterhead at All Recreation Ground, and I got the bar inside our half, turned the boy, and then I dribbled through, beat 3 or 4, and then lobbed the goalie for 20 yards. That's a goal I mind. Not the most important goal, but the other goal I would say would be my 300th goal for Huntly against Devon Vale, because I was injured, I had an ankle injury, and I needed 10 for a long time again, and I was struggling to play, and I was really toiling, and I was thinking about bailing out, but I kept going, and I came on as a sub that day and got a goal. Like, I've never been so relieved. It was like a monkey off my back, and everybody was going on about it all the time, but we got here in the end.
Yeah. One of the questions we'd ask you is, do you ever hate to buy yourself a pint in Huntly, Martin?
I do now.
Did you have to back in
But
the
to be
90s?
fair, it wasn't just me. That's one thing we had, the squad. Often, I stayed in Huntly, but a lot of them, Aberdeen and Marco de Barras and Neil Felg and that, and I'd been nothing about, I could go to the square at 1 o'clock after shutting time, and us boys in Huntly, suits still knocking about.
Yep.
The boys, they were kind of like a home game. The bus wouldn't leave till about 9 o'clock. Now there's no bus and there's cars and they've gone.
Yep.
And I think you win together, you drink together, and you socialise together, and it's a big thing. And it was
a few good nights out.
The cup games, obviously, Huntly were great at that time. It's great days. Folks speak about them now,
A lot of it's on the telly as well. You used to see a lot. I always remember watching the sports scene, and you'd always see Huntly.
The Stranraer game was the main game in sports scene. We played Stranraer one year, and it was half an hour highlights of the game.
Yep.
Brian Thompson scored a hat-trick. We won 4-2, but again, you wouldn't get that now.
No, you wouldn't.
Get about a minute. So that was a great enough.
Aye. Cracking. Who is your favourite football player of all time?
Messi.
Messi.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you like about Messi?
Just everything about me, just absolute class. He's a team player now. But I can imagine I used to tune into the Spanish football on Sky just to watch Barcelona. I mean, he was a poster boy of the great team, Ken.
He was, yeah.
And also, he's a team player. I get the Ronaldo thing, the goals and all that, but Messi would lay it on to somebody if it was in a better position. I'm not sure Ronaldo would. But the two of them the numbers are unbelievable.
I agree.
Ken.
Do you think they made each other better?
Probably.
Yeah.
Aye. But, I mean, it's got the stage for they're now playing in lesser leagues. I think with goals not mean nothing new. Okay?
No.
Although Ronaldo still counts him in that game. I think it's closer between Maradona and Messi. I'm a bit yaller, Ken. I mind Maradona. But I think the winning the World Cup for Messi is that's what gives him it, Ken. I mean, Maradona won a World Cup with a poor Argentina now. Yeah. He did exactly the same that Messi did this time, Ken.
Exactly, yeah, he did.
But it was just brilliant to watch. His dribbling and all that. I mean,
he's a kind of Messi's a false nine forward, and we've got Ronaldo, who's kind of you're running in behind and direct. What kind of forward would you consider yourself? Considering we've got so many different types of forward these days, Martin.
Well, the main thing I had was pace. That was fit ahead. That was my main asset until '98 when I needed a back operation. That's when it all changed for me, but. I could run quick, that was all I had.
In behind, did you like running in behind the defender, or would you like a one-on-one situation?
No, in behind, definitely.
Yeah.
I hadn't the most skill, I wasn't one for taking players on, but running behind.
In terms of finishing, you prefer finishing in the box or outside the box?
Well, you'd be able to find out 300 odd goals. If I was 20 outside the box, I would have said.
Yeah.
Definitely inside the box.
Would you take a guess to what percentage were on your head?
Only as much as you think. No, I wasn't. I would have said 30 maybe at 300.
Still decent, though. Aye. You look at the Premier League these days, and I don't think there's much boys scored more than 30 headers in that league. You know, it's a dying art.
The fitness changed, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a dying art.
It's the boy. I'm saying back in that day, we was 4-4-2 laden. That was it. Our teams were 4-4-2.
Put it down the channel, get it in the box.
That was it. Yeah. But it doesn't happen. The target man, a la Gary White, they didn't happen anymore either.
No, they didn't. They really don't. Did you ever get an offer to move up the divisions, Martin? I've heard Motherwell. Somebody mentioned Motherwell to me.
I was offered heaps of times to go to England. This team was with me on trial this way. Chelsea were wanting to sign me, but I was not interested in folk. To this day, folk say you're off your head and all that, but I didn't want it. I didn't think I was good enough, and I wouldn't have liked moving away. So, whenever anything for England came in, Pele stopped even saying about it again. I had a trial game at Dundee United after I played for a youth team, Elgin. Jim McLean stopped the game after 10 minutes and gave me a hairdryer treatment because I didn't. The centre half broke out and I just let him go. And I was playing for Huntly Amateurs. Yeah. This wasn't acceptable to him. And he just went mental. So that was never going to work. I went to Aberdeen for a week in, I think it was December '93. Willie Miller was the manager. Thoroughly enjoyed it. A lot of good players at Aberdeen at that time. But I mean, I met Willie Miller when I arrived there and I never seen him again until I left. Whole week he was never near. Roy Aitken took Ahing, he was exceptional. But Alec McLeish was still a player then, and he took over as manager of Motherwell a few months later. So the pre-season the next year, he asked if I would go on a pre-season tour to Holland. So I went there, and they had a good team. Like Paul Lambert was there, Phil O'Donnell, Stevie Kirk, boys like that. They're a good team. And I actually scored 3 or 4 goals in the 5 games. Again. And I mean, he said, asked to meet the airport now. He says, we would love to sign you, but we can't afford the 50,000 Huntly's needing for you. Now, that's no why. I should think they could have afforded the 50,000. I guess he just said it he says, we'll keep tabs on you and how you. But I tell Pele before, I'm not interested in going. He says, but it's pre-season, just go and it'll get you ready to go the next season. So I just went there. And again, heaps of that. A lot of teams are waiting your trial. A year after maybe Dundee was coming to the end of the season, they'd lost their striker, can't mind if it happened, but they had agreed a fee with the Huntly, 35,000 to sign me. But I think they were waiting the deal down and then see if I were to go.
Yeah.
So a game at Rothes, the boy John McCormack was the manager then, so the deal was done. 5 or 10 minutes in, up for a header, my uncle, ambulance to Dr. Grace. So that was the end. I wouldn't have went anyway. I would have went to Aberdeen if I got a chance. That was it, just because I could have maybe have just been in Huntly.
Yeah.
I was nae interested. I genuinely didn't think I was good enough, and it didn't pick me up in doing it. You get us young loons now, you think they want to be a fit player or not. But back in that day, I mean, in Aberdeen, they had first team, reserve team. I was like about 50 or 60 staff, Ken.
Yeah, big.
And probably in that time, there was only 2 subs. When I first started in the Highland League, there was only 2 outfield subs, never a sub goalie, Ken. So you've got to be exceptional to make it, if you get what I mean, Ken. I just didn't, it didn't put me up in doing, and it never happened. Again, Finpelli went to Carly, he tried to sign me.
That was kind of my next question. Was there
about
any
50 times
within the Highland League? Obviously, it happens every few seasons. Clubs get money and they'll get a wee push up. Was there any other offers within the Highland League to move, or was Huntly was only one for you within the Highland League?
Oh, I'd never have moved to an art team in Highland League. I mind it or something. Peter Heed was sweating me. That's just when they moved up. But I was never going to happen. I was never going to move. But to be fair, this is for Forbes Shaw, if I was a chairman of Huntly, and Mike Hendry, if I'd become a chairman, especially when I was a young loon at Huntly, Forbes gave me good money for signing on fees like the top players were getting. Mm-hmm. I could have signed for £100. He wouldn't have. He wouldn't have worried.
Yeah.
That's what they paid for him, actually, £100. That's what I was paying. For a sign for Huntly amateurs, £100 and some Fitbits.
That's it. So we went from, I think, Russell Mackay was £300 in a bag of bars.
No, I heard
you went down $100 in a bag of bars.
And
right?
the £100, the manager of the Huntly Amateurs, he stays just beside me, Jim Penny, and he's still got a check yet. He never cashed it. He just kept it. And we never get a bars either. So I really went for nothing.
Oh, I like that. Right, our next question is actually for Craig Christie, the journalist.
Right.
He was the one that actually wanted to know what it was like to play under Pele Patterson, just as a manager, and how he is as a man himself.
Well, he signed me, as I say. We even seen me play. He never seen me play when he signed me.
That's faith, that is.
Well, he'd heard folk had seen me play, Ken, and I think it's just because I was Huntly and why was I playing for Elgin, but he was a brilliant manager. He was the kind of guy you want to play for, if I can. I mean, he had Abdi on side, and no big in tactics. His big thing was getting the right players into the club, and he would sign players to play. Ken, there was no, we'll sign him and he could be a squad player. If he's signing somebody, he wants him to play right wing, left back, whatever it was. Ken, again 4-4-2, two wingers and a sweeper. That's what he played. But it was very entertaining and attacking Fitba in.
Yeah.
The training was Fitba related. It's games, shooting, crossing, shooting. I mean, boys are working all day. They don't want to come to training and be running. And we trained at Huntly every night. The majority of the boys were for Aberdeen, out to Huntly which is some commitment. Like, I'm not sure I could have done that. But another thing he did, this was very interesting, and other folk maybe should try it. Maybe when a trip to Brora, Wick, Fort William, he'd hand out paper and pen to Abdi, and he wanted Abdi to write down what they think with the players we've got here, fits the team, fit how would you play, fit formation would you play, just to see if Abdi's thinking, Ken.
Aye.
And then another time he'd say the pen and the paper, and he'd say, just write down your 3 favourite positions fit you'd play, again, just to try and get. He's maybe playing somebody at left back and then hate it again. But the picking of the team, I found that interesting, because that was like, if Abdi, if a whole team's got a team and it's different, if it's happening, he'll be thinking, why is that? Like, but yeah, he did that.
That's a bit out of the box. I've never heard of that before. Like, maybe try that at the main team. Like,
but it was interesting. But I mean, his management record. I say back in that day, you had to qualify for the Scottish Cup.
yeah.
Did it every year at Elgin. He did it every year at Huntly. Never ever didn't qualify for the Scottish Cup. And I heard it before. Back in the quarter final of the Scottish Cup was the biggest game of the season. That's how you got into semi final. That was you in the Scottish, and that's for the money came at that and back in that day again. But just that boy you were to play for. He was just, just one of the boys, and up the back with the boys. I can't if it's happened to him since Aberdeen and all that, but then I like to kid you, he was a top manager. He's went for Elgin, Huntly, Carley. He's went for the Highland League to managing in the Premier League. Absolutely. And you did that by luck, Ken.
No.
But the boys went to play for him. That's the thing. You can be the best manager in the world, but if the players don't like you, you're dust. Gone. No chance. But I still speak to him yet, Ken. I owe him all my career, Ken. He took a chance on me, Ken. So.
Did you ever used to take part in training himself?
Well, he was a player manager when I signed. He was obviously he had a back operation late on, but you could see he could play. Like, but he wasn't fit back in. Like, but he's also an exceptional player back in his day. But he was an exceptional manager, and I'll let somebody think his name because Fitz went after Aberdeen, Ken.
Absolutely. As you say, we've just had Ian MacArthur in, and he played under him at Carley, and he said the same. Just fantastic.
Ian was a top player now.
Yeah. Said the same about yourself, Martin. So you're exchanging it. Okay. So I'm going to kind of get on to the Scottish Cup. I'll post a little photo of this up on my. I'll get you to hand that up to the camera if that's all right, Martin. Just up to that camera there.
I see.
This in here. That is the 1994-1995 Tennant Scottish Cup top scorer award. Who did you beat?
Who did we? Well, this is where it gets less impressive, Ken. We beat Keith. Well, it was actually a replay. It was 2-2, and then the replay was, I think it was 3-1 Huntly. We played. Was it Burnt Island? 7-0. That's where I got a hat trick. That was a game. It was played on an ice rink at Christie Park. You would never have played it nowadays, Ken.
Well, I think that's one of the questions we've got, isn't it, Ryan?
It is indeed, yeah. Should I read it out just now?
Yeah, please do.
Okay. So this is from Andrew Hassan. Has he ever got over the state of Christie Park for the Burnt Island Scottish Cup tie?
But I think that game generally, they were a non-league team, and they'd come up on a Friday night, and it was snowing, and they weren't in the game. I don't think they could have afforded the game off back and forth. So I think a lot of that went in. I mean, in the morning, there was tractors and ploughs and I think taking all the snow off a pitch, Ken. But it was just like sheet of ice underneath it. You can find the games on YouTube. You can have a look at it. I mean, it's a horrendous pitch. But I mean,
and Huntly's actually a place that's notorious for snow itself.
Okay, tell me about it. But no, the pitch was no playable that day. But I mean, we were so much better than them. It was just the way it was, Ken. But they were happy the game got on and that, Ken. So no, it wasn't. I mean, Huntly's pitch again. The pitch probably wasn't that great at that time because we trained on it every week. Ken, for all this time, the cup games, it was notorious for being boggy or no grass in it. Or again, we might have been even better than if it was a decent pitch. Like, but no. And then we played Dundee United. That was Dundee United were the holders, and we played them at Christie Park, and I managed to score a goal. And I'm sure Van Hooijdonk was one behind me in the final, and I've got to say they played Airdrie.
They did, yeah.
And he got substituted off, and I said, well, that's it.
Aye.
I didn't realise. I think it was £1,000 or £1,500. I can't mind if it was, but at the time I didn't ken it was. You used to get that like, but it was nice.
And was there folk in the lead up to that telling you that if Van Hooijdonk doesn't get so much in this game?
Yeah, but I think
you kind of realise.
But nowadays you wouldn't ken because there's so much lower league teams and there's like hammerings going. Somebody could have 6 in a game and that, and it doesn't happen now. So say the big teams come in the fourth round, I think, Ian. And so they didn't have as much games to score I mean, it was only 5 goals, but it was something I'm proud of. I mean, I don't think it'll ever happen again. A high league player can get it again.
Well, Huntley went on some Scottish upsets, Scottish Cup upsets. Dumbarton 1991, Stranraer 92, Queen of the South and Albion Rovers in 93, Peterhead in 2004. Out of all your kind of Scottish Cup moments, what's been your favourite, Martin?
Oh, that Dundee United game, streets ahead, but just for the fact that I supported Dundee United, but the Hale tunes buzzing for weeks with the Drac, and Dundee United are holders, they're coming to play at Little Christie Park, and it was supposed to be 4,500 crowd, but if you see the game, I think there was, can't mind back, it was the ticket was just a bit of paper. Huntley could have been copied about 1 million times if you went, and there was so much folk in the Dundee United end. The barriers collapsed and I think, but it was just a great game. I mean, we lost 3-1. We didn't disgrace ourselves.
Yeah.
And as I say, the build up to the game is great, and the night, the game. I mean, we had some great days, but that was one of them. Also, we played at Tynecastle now. There was 10,000 folk here. That was great for us.
That's big, but
as you say, we played Airdrie. Airdrie was the first team. That was like in 91 or 92. We got them, and they were 1-0 up when we scored in the 80th minute. Alan Dunsire scored. Well, the Huntley players were like in the howling shed, that's enclosure across for the stand, still celebrating. And honestly, the kick-off was teen. Some of them were never back in position, and they just went straight up the pitch and scored. And it was a lesson to be learnt.
Yeah.
Because I mind in 2000, from we won the league in 2005, Richie Taylor scored a goal in the 95th minute, and Abdi run up to our end, and the goalie and Abdi was on top of him, and I was off. No, I was still on. And I just said, get back. And that was what was coming out of my head, get back, get ready, we can celebrate once it's done,
Yeah.
And that was a lesson to us. I mean, we ended up lost that game 3-1, but 1-1 with 10 minutes to go, you'd have if it would have happened.
Your experience, you will go back to them things and use your experience in that situation, 100%.
Oh, definitely.
Really. Who do you consider the greatest football player of all time?
Messi.
Okay.
It is close between Maradona because... But from the numbers Messi's got, that's what edges it. I mean, Maradona was someone else in even the World Cup in '86, the goals he scored and he had some talent, but he's like a flawed genius. I mean, Messi's pretty. There's not much stories about him. He just gets on with his fit, but all that I just like watching that kind of thing.
Yeah. There's been a lot of my guests who are not really a fan of it. Are you a fan of modern football, Martin, or do you prefer your older stuff? Do you like the way the game's going is basically what I'm trying to ask you.
I think it's better years ago, and nostalgia kicks in, but I mean, you get a bit of... I get out at a Huntley game, you go and you think, oh, you'd have scored 10 a day, and it's like, I wouldn't have. The longer you're retired, the better you become, I would say. But I'd certainly don't like the VAR. I mean, it's about the crowd pay the money to get in, and they've not got a clue if it's going on. You don't care if it's a goal. You can see a goal, big celebrations, and then, oh, wait a minute, something happened here 30 seconds ago.
Aye.
I would bin it. I would just bin it. As far as I can see, there was mistakes before. There's now still mistakes when it's happening again.
Yep.
So it's not the same watching a game because you just don't care if it's a goal or not. Even the players, they could do some stupid celebration and they look really stupid because it's not a goal.
Yeah. And, it's human error. It's part of the game. Yeah,
but even maybe next year with us automated offside, can this offside still somebody deciding, all right, this is Funny's kick the bar, move your cursor, this is for the last part was, but I move it here. It's humans.
Yeah, it is. Aye.
But next year it might be different because I don't know why they didn't go for it with like the World Cup offside, it's automated and it tells you, So they're now doing it next year, but I don't know why they never went for it this year.
I was a big fan of it for coming in for likes of years ago with Thierry Henry with the handball at Ireland.
Things like that.
Things like that.
Yeah.
But when it's getting used to correct offsides and things, and it's like, no, there's got
and
to
you're
be
getting a hand back, and it used to be handball was handball. Now it's subjective.
Oh, there's so many.
And then you can
see
the same thing happening twice, and then one's a pen and one's neck.
Aye. Doesn't make any sense, no.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with fit by now, but as I say, I think's better in your day, I think.
Aye. Leads me nicely to my next question, Martin. Could you play in the modern game?
I'm sure I could. As I say, I've had pace. If you've got pace, that's a huge asset in Fitba.
You in your prime, could you play in the Highland League just now? No, in the quality, because I think the Highland Leagues get less quality than it had in the 90s now.
Well, I'll be honest, and folk when I agree, I see it a drop down a level.
Yeah.
I said Highland League's what the juniors was in the 90s. Juniors is amateurs. League, Scottish League. Folk that I like my fantasy, I think, and maybe I am all for it, but I watch Huntly every week and it's nae the same standard again. Again, folk who think they maybe think it is again, but this goes in arc. And if I think back the 60s, I think, we were better in the 60s, but I don't care that.
Yep.
Again,
Fitba
doesn't change that much.
The way I think I'm comparing it to is you don't see much players like John McGinley going picked out the Highland League and going into England these days.
I would say it was more other way. When we in the Highland League, you were getting professionals coming back. Again, we had numerous John Gardner, Alan Selby, Doug Rugus, 36 and that. Stevie Lennox was at bigger clubs. Brian Thompson was at Arborough. Again, higher up clubs coming back to the Highland League, and now it's mere juniors coming up to the Highland League. That's what it looks like to me.
Yeah.
And I watch a game and I'll see, I can't fit it is, but it looks like there's no men playing. They all seem to be early 20s, and there's things happen in a game, and it's just nothing said. In my day, somebody would hear you by the neck.
Yes, aye.
And you'd be told many times by many players, that's not good enough, again. But things change. I mean, you can't live in the past. Games change, but in essence, Fitba's the same thing.
Aye.
You want to score goals and nail it and goals. Okay?
Aye, that's
and
it.
there's more than one way to do it. Okay?
Entertainment value at the end of the day, that's what you're there. You're there to be entertained. And
Teams want to be like Man City, but they don't have the player. No, I don't mean Highland League. I mean teams in the Premier League. They haven't got the players to do it. Okay?
No.
And you see them try to do it in the Highland League in a dubby pitch. It's impossible. Okay? Pass it about, okay? But no, Fitba changes, but
it is. Aye, I agree. That brings me in for your next question, Ryan.
Right.
Sorry, I should have queued you up there.
At least I didn't have a mouthful of water this time when you brought me in. So John Innes asks, yes, I have a question. I think Martin would have suited playing in red and black colours. Would he agree?
John would say that. He's a Locos man. So no, that would never have happened. Never in a million years. I wouldn't have went to any other. I haven't said that I was about to sign for Elgin, but I wouldn't have. Once I was at Huntly, I wouldn't have moved for Huntly. No chance. I wouldn't have been allowed back.
Yeah.
I've stayed in Huntly all my life, so
it's well, I think we kind of spoke about it recently with Elgin City with Brian Soapy Cameron, who plays. There's something different about being for the tune and playing for your tune. You can get offers for higher, but at the end of the day, you're playing for your own tune. And there's something quite special about that. Like,
his dad was a player, by the way. I played against.
Yeah,
he was a good player.
Okay, Martin. Just to kind of sum up our questions before we just get a wee bit into your 11 and your career, a wee bit. What's your proudest moment in football?
Well, I say my proudest moment is probably once I've retired. When I look back and fit, I actually achieved.
I like that answer.
I mean, Huntly's won the league 7 times in their whole life. And again, they started in first team was in 1929. I just missed out on that, but I've got 6. Ken, and that's if ever trophies at 18 trophies if ever Ken, and the scoring the goals and for Huntly Ken. It's
you'd be one of the Highland League's most successful ever players.
Like, there's a lot of Carly boys, like Bob Summers and that. Carly were dominant in the 80s and that, Ken. But see, I stopped when I was 31, Ken. But I think we had 17 trophies in the 90s, Ken, which was exceptional. I mean, you've got to mind it, there was good teams here.
Yeah.
Although Carly, Thistle and Ross County left, that's why it's good that we won the first team by 18 points. The first, and they were good, but I mean, Elgin, Cove, Lossy were an exceptional team, Fraser's with Stewart and all that, Ken. They were really good, and there was good teams, Ken. In that 5 years we won the league, we only lost 16 games.
Wow, yeah, that's impressive.
Ken, I think it's 154 games we played. We won 123 of that games. We lost 16. And we scored 478 goals.
That's mad.
Ken.
That's mad.
we were a good side, wasn't it? You can't get away from that, Ken. But even the 5 in a row thing, I mean, I didn't realise. I mean, when I was playing for Huntly, I'd signed and we started winning things, Ken, and I didn't actually realise how much we won. And this 5, I can't from we got near it because everybody was speaking about it, but I wouldn't have kennt nobody else had ever done it in the hell of the Highland League. Ken. And it's pretty. That would be my proudest thing looking back. I mean, I love all this podcast speaking about it. Again, if I got a game, you'll get somebody for another team, a supporter coming up speaking about it. I love all that. Some folk didn't like it, but I don't know.
And you got a testimonial at the end of your career.
I did. I played Aberdeen, and again, a guy, Mikey Cormack, was assistant manager, but he played 5-a-side football with David Johnson if I was a general manager at Pittodrie, Ken.
Right.
And he said he would sort out a game, and when it was getting sorted out, and Pelly was the manager then, but obviously it went wrong with Pelly. And Jimmy Calderwood took it, but it was his first ever game. It was the first pre-season of that thing at Huntly, and it was like a scorcher of a day, and I think, Ken, and ended up I think there was around 2,500 folk here, Ken. So it just I scored 2 goals, which I worked so hard to get fit for that game because I didn't want to make a fool of myself. And then I'm thinking I maybe could have kept going here, Ken. But I didn't like so. No, I had a good testimonial. Folk at Huntly did my. But that's another thing. Folk say, "Well, we'll have the dinner. We'll go to Aberdeen." I says, "Well, just stop here. We'll just going to Aberdeen." Again, I'd rather have far less money and just hating the Stewart's Hall in Huntly, and that's what we did. Ken, I'm nah. You could have got more money getting in Aberdeen, but that wasn't what it was about.
No. 1991 to 2005, man, that's a one-man club. It's rare, especially in Highland League. It's now, especially these days, you get boys that they'll go through 14 different Highland League clubs in their career these days.
Even back in the day, Mo, and Michael Morrison.
Yeah.
Mo, I don't think nobody could have more clubs than Mo, but he did well. He won trophies and that, but he must have been. He was at Huntly anyway, 7, 8, 9 teams.
A few boys nicknamed clubs as well, isn't there? Aye. Thank you for your answers. Really enjoyed that, Martin. The next part we're going to get into before we get into year 111 is I'm going to give you 2 years a week quiz.
All right, here we go. I'm 2-1 down at the moment, aren't I?
Well, you'll win this because of it.
2-1, dude. So,
unless it was for years ago, I've no chance.
Martin told me before we came on he was a Dundee United fan, so maybe we've jumped the gun a wee bit, but...
Can we just bring up that on your TikTok page, when we had Alan Main on, that you were wearing a Celtic top, right? And that one of the clips was to do with his trial at Dundee United. Can you tell about how some guy reached out to you to ask if you were doing a Dundee United podcast?
Oh yeah, yeah. Somebody reached out to me, asked me if I was doing a Dundee United podcast. That was via TikTok. I've had some weird things. I've had all sorts of sectarian abuse on there. I've had TikTok's been a strange one, but we've hit over 100,000 views on TikTok.
Oh wow!
So
that's credible.
Quite happy with that. Okay, Scottish Cup final 2005, Celtic versus Dundee United.
That's too modern for me.
Lineups from both teams, please, gentlemen.
Okay.
Celtic Dundee United.
Celtic Dundee United, Scottish Cup final. Martin O'Neill was in charge of Celtic and Gordon Chisholm was in charge of Dundee United. This could be a quick one.
That's way. Go for it. Go for 1980s Dundee United or something. No.
I'll try. I'll go back to Alan's episode.
No chance of that.
No, I'm here now. I'll bite the bullet.
No, well, this is
going to be short, isn't it? Right. I'll let you go first, Martin. There's Celtic and Dundee United.
I think can score.
1-0 Celtic.
I scored. Martin O'Neill, 2005.
Yes, just as Martin O'Neill was leaving Celtic. I'll give you a clue. There's no Henrik Larsson in there.
Oh well.
I think I've got one for Dundee United, but I'm scared to say it. I might just go for it if we're going to get it. Is John Daly playing?
Are you going first?
I guess, yeah. Why
Okay,
not?
right. So Martin's the winner today.
There we go, 3-1.
That's it.
Would you have hazard a guess, Martin?
Something I'm just
A Dundee United player or a Celtic player?
a Dundee United player in 2005. This is pretty embarrassing. Oh, I had more chance of getting a Celtic player. 2005.
I'll give you another go if you want as well, Ryan. But you have to go Dundee United.
I have to. God, man, like 2000.
There's one very obvious one. He was actually mentioned on the last episode we've just done.
Barry Robson.
Barry Robson was one, yeah.
Didn't he?
Yeah.
I couldn't even think of the goalie.
Okay, so you got Bullock in goals, Mark Wilson, Paul Ritchie, Gary Kenneth,
Gary Kenneth. I was about to say Gary Kenneth. That was going to be my guess.
Alan Archibald, Mark Kerr, Derek McInnes was the captain, Grant Brebner, Barry Robson, Stevie Crawford, Jason Scotland, Colin Samuel on the bench,
Jesus, I would have never got any of them.
Rob Douglas, Didi Agat, Bobo Baldi, Stan Varga, McNamara, Petrov, Lennon, Thompson, who scored the goal, Sutton, Bellamy, Hartson, Valharan and McGeady.
That's embarrassing, eh? Like, got us out. We're going to let out here, right?
Is that you
Right, can we
3-1
start
down?
again then?
You go Dundee United and
Right, okay. I can't. I'm sorry, Martin. I'm sorry. You want it though? I'll take it. I'll take
yes, won it by
Right.
saying nothing.
it. I'd just like to read out a little quote from Craig Christian yourself, if that's all right. Before we go into your 1 to 11.
Craig's a good lad, kid.
It says Martin was one of the best Highland League strikers I've seen in the last 40 years. I've followed the game in the north. Lethal finisher, great temperament and great link player as part of one of the best attacks I've seen in the league with Gary White and Brian Thompson. The bigger the game, the better for Martin. Any striker that nets 40 plus in a season is a top notch, and Martin did that more than once and scored over 300, so he has to be regarded as one of the very best. The fact that he scored so many consistently over so many seasons with the same club could well make him the very best striker I've seen in the Highland League in the last 40 years. So
very
that's, I think I'd take Craig's opinion quite highly. He's watched quite a lot of local football. He reckons you.
Well, Craig coming to go. Willie Grant used to be the Northern Scot. He was
I
the.
remember him saying that, yeah.
When Willie was. He's up there when it comes to Highland League strikers, ken. But he was great muckers with Pele and he had a lot of our games. Willie was out of our games, and he actually took me aside and he would give me some tips, ken. And which we just kept up between ourselves, like, can you say?
Absolutely.
And then Craig took over once Willie passed on, and that. Nah, he's a good lad. Kens his stuff, must he?
Aye, absolutely, absolutely. 1 to 11. Okay, this was quite good because you've obviously done a 1 to 11 before. Fantastic 1 to 11, by the way. I'll go through it and then we'll pick it apart. Martin, John Gardner, Davy Moreland, Simon Scott, Doug
Rugby.
Sorry, it's mine right, and I can't even read.
Kevin
Walker, Steve Gray, Steve Lennox, Russell Guild, Marco De Barros, Gary White, and Brian Thompson. Spoke a wee bit about David Moreland. Can you give me a bit John Gardner?
I'll say John was a goalie. John was an ex-professional. He was at Aberdeen, he was at Motherwell, he was at Dundee United. And John was loud. He liked to hear his own voice, but he knew his football like you wouldn't believe. And he was an exceptional goalie, bigger a game, better John played. And one of the jokers in the changing room, Ken, that was a big thing at Huntly with Lugs and him, and there was ice stuff going on, Ken.
Yep.
And but the main thing is John was an exceptional goalie, brilliant with his feet. That's when that kind of came in. It wasn't a rule when I started, but Ken, the back pass you could lift it up back in. I'm not sure if it came in, but John was brilliant with his
92.
feet. Ken. Yeah, well there you go. Well, 91 I started, so Ken, that was a great asset that he had. Ken, John took a few penalties for Huntly, and they just at the end of the game when you're 7-0 up, Ken, he was the penalty when Brian left. He took the penalties, never missed. So, he's a great guy, John.
Do you know which player actually was the cause of the back pass rule? You tell me that?
Nope.
Graham Souness.
Aye.
European Cup Winners' Cup game. Rangers were 1-0 or 2-0 up, and he gets the ball on the halfway line, he punts it back to the goal and he picks it up, wastes 5 seconds, boots it up, does it 3 or 4 times.
And that was it.
The following year, UEFA introduced the rule.
There you go.
So, just me geeking out a
Learn
wee
it.
bit.
Learn something every day.
Simon Scott.
Well, Simon that's when we won the league 2004 and 2005. But Simon was at Huntly during the glory years now as a young loon, but because we had an exceptional team, he couldn't force his way in, so he went away and he ended up at Formartine Juniors, and they were exceptional junior team, and that's when he came back. But so consistent, it was just 8 out of 10 every week, up and down the line, just a great engine on him, no mistakes, and he just great left peg in him, and just, as I say, up and down, great engine.
Mm-hmm. So Doug Rugby is
That's it.
European
Cup Winners' Cup winner. One cap for Scotland and many trophies for Aberdeen. Came at Huntly, 36-year-old. He was manager at Montrose, co-manager at Montrose. They got sacked, and while he lost an assistant, he was in and he was bid in Aberdeen. He heard that Doogie was looking for a club, so Pelly gave him a shout and out to come in. And he ended up playing centre half, and he was just colossal in both boxes. Ken, teams are scared of him. Ken, and every right to be scared of him. And Ken,
Yeah.
there could be a corner and on the boxes, and then the bar's cleared, and often somebody lying in the back of the net.
And you throw Dave
Doogied.
Moreland in there as well at the same time.
Well, that's the thing. You get by Doogie, and then you get by Moreland, you deserve to score. That's as simple as that. Ken. But Doogie was exceptional. For 36, I mean, he got sacked in 98 because he'd become a player manager, but he was still playing for 40. He was an exceptional player. He did everything away, and a real quiet guy. Like, you'd think somebody that's had a career he had, he'd be
shouting about it.
never, unless you asked him about it, he certainly wouldn't have said nothing about his full-time fit, but no, that he was just
Exceptional.
a great signing for Huntly.
Kevin Walker.
Well, again, Kevin, he just played the first year we won the league. He was like, I've never seen somebody train and play. What a will to win he had. But he played right back, and his crossing was unbelievable. As good as somebody you'd ever seen. He just got it. Every cross was just with pace, and that. He just needed a wee touch, and it was on.
Yeah.
And he went back to play at sweeper before Moreland appeared, Ken, and he was just as good here, but he's a cracking player.
One of the probably more memorable names of the Highland League in the 90s was Marco de Barros.
Flash, yeah.
Portuguese.
Portuguese for Lossie.
Yeah.
I think his mum still bides Lossie. We try to track him down, but nobody seems to ken for he is.
Yeah.
But
Kind of player he was. He was a winger, wasn't he?
played left wing, but he had all the skill. He had no pace, but he had beat players with skill.
Yeah.
He was someone else, Mark. Everything was an issue, but Pele could handle him. There's no point shouting on him, tell him. You start shouting and it's just down tools.
Yeah.
Everything had to be right. Back in the socks, and there maybe been socks with a hole in it. Well, he just couldn't play. He just wouldn't play. So somebody had to take off their socks and put on the whole lanes. You hit a pander to him, but boy, could he play. I mean, he scored some great goals, but just a talent, I mean.
Yeah. He was at Elgin as well, wasn't he?
Aye, he Huntly signed him for Elgin for £1,500 or £1,000 or something. And but never had a job in his life. He just swannied about in a car, and me and him got on. And Neil Grant and he's an Elgin boy. The three of us were the young boys in the squad. Okay?
Aye.
The rest of them were all our boys, so we kind of spent a lot of time together. But no, Marco was an exceptional player.
Brilliant. Russell Gill.
Again, that's back to when we won in 2004-05. Russell's a Huntly boy like myself, born and bred, and he played centre midfield, and he was like exceptional, box to box, goal scoring midfield. I can't mind how much goals he's one of the Eddie Copeland and him are the two players that's played more than 500 games for Huntly.
Mm-hmm.
And but Russell, he was a captain, but he's certainly a shouter a ball, and he was captain by example, just the way he played. I was He's never fell out with anybody in his life. He's never kicked somebody or anything. Again, he played centre midfield and he's just so nice. Again, he's not got a bad bone in his body, but boy, could he play again.
Yeah.
And he could get up and down and score goals. And I was delighted when we won the league. I mean, he was streets ahead, the best player in the Highland League that year, and never won it. And Huntly never had a Highland League Player of the Year. That's another thing.
Yeah.
And how could we be so dominant and they have a Highland
It
League
doesn't
Player
make
of the Year?
sense.
It's just
No.
rubbish.
No, it really doesn't. Do you have any idea who won the Player of the Year during them 5 years, Martin?
Well, I was runner-up one year, I think it was to Andy Patterson. That was a centre-half for Cove. Andy come to play for Huntly. Stewart won. Ian Stewart won.
Mm-hmm.
But then back in, it wasn't... In that time, it was never a vote by the players. It was some
Committees.
manufactured wire.
Right,
They used to get points in the P&J. The reporter would give you points. Again, only kind of injury, you just no chance.
Aye, yeah.
I say, I've said it before, Brian Thompson scored 45 goals one year. He ended up runner-up, and he was joint runner-up with Billy Nielsen for was a goalie in Nairn, and he let in like 140 goals.
Aye.
But because he's marking save after save and letting in 8, he's getting marked up. It's just rubbish.
Aye.
I mean, a team that's so dominant and they have Player of the Year, it's just
Doesn't make
farcical.
any sense. Steve Lennox, you said he was the best player you played with.
Top, unbelievable player, but I've said enough about him.
Yeah. Steve Gray.
Well, Steve Gray is the most skillful player I've ever seen in the Highland League. Again, he was at Aberdeen as a professional. He was at Airdrie. He ended up back at Huntly. He was a bit of a lad, if you could say, off the pitch again.
Mm-hmm.
And Huntly signed him, gave him a signing on fee, he disappeared. Never seen him. Away we had the money. But he come back and unbelievable. This is a guy who had the ability to play at any level.
Yeah.
That's how good he was. He just didn't have that application for it. But for Huntly, he was just so far ahead of him in the Highland League. He was just unbelievable.
Yeah. Brian Thompson. We hear a lot. I see a lot of Brian Thompson on that group in Facebook and things like that. He seems like a bit of a character as well.
Oh, but right in the middle of the carries on. If there's somebody cutting socks or whatever, he's your man. And you need boys like that in the dressing room.
Aye.
Again, just things I laugh with Brian. Out in the pitch, he's just so confident. I used to hear him speaking to either kind of the centre half or something, and he's got to come back to him and I think he's won and that, and fit of you won, he's got all that. But I mean, the bigger the game, the better he played. We had cup finals. I was one against Cove, or 1-0, do 90th minute thing for outside the box, 30-yarder, boom. 2-1 doing 120th minute, another thing for about 35-yard free kick into the top corner. Unbelievable left foot, and he used to take penalties, and there was no Bruno Fernandes skipping, jumping. It was just straight up smash. If a goalie got in the road, well, he was in the net and all.
Aye.
But he used to take corners and all with this pace on him, and Whiter and Rugby used to just need a wee touch and it was a goal.
Yeah.
He was unbelievable. He went to Calais, did really well, but he stays in Huntly now. I see him lots. Like, he's just a comedian. He can't take nothing serious. Like,
Aye. And Gary White, you've kind of...
yeah, I've said about Whiter.
Yeah.
If I would say, right, I'll mention Eddie Copeland here because there's no doubt Eddie will think he should be in the team, but he was an unbelievable guy to me, When I signed for Huntly, as I say, I was 18-year-old and I went into this dressing room, no kenning nobody, and he straight away, he took me under his wing and showed me the ropes. This is what we do, we do this. Just tell me if it was him, sit with him in the bus to away game and get me and about all the other players and all that. And he broke his leg 3 times. He had a dislocated elbow, which was the worst injury I've ever seen in my life. I can mind him lying in the pitch. We was playing Ross County. It was the last game of the season. He's lying in the pitch and his elbow's sticking, look, different angles, and he's just wetting his fags. Somebody go and get my fags till the ambulance come. And he's sitting in the pitch, smoking up the fags. You wouldn't see it these days. But,
No, you wouldn't.
But an incredible player, and he played in so many positions for Huntly. He signed in 1984 for Huntly, and he was here for all the time I was here. An incredible guy, You wouldn't be happy he's not in the team again.
Thank you very much for last hour. And
No problem.
But Martin, we really I do appreciate your time. Martin will be the first of a few of these Huntley guys coming on, because I think the story, and obviously we've mentioned it before, it's never been done before, the 5 in a row, and I don't think it'll ever be done again. It's very unique. Thank you to everyone that's been listening, watching, following us so far. We're up to 80 odd people following us on Spotify, but we're only at 29 ratings. So if people would just give us a wee rating, follow us on YouTube, follow us on Facebook, TikTok. We're all over the place. We're trying to still get our first sponsor, but we're working on it. Next episode we've got coming up is, I think it's going to be Murray Mental Health FC. So I'm in talks with them just now, but they're not. So when you have to get in touch with people by email rather than messenger, it takes a few days rather than instant responses between me and yourself, Martin, which is the next thing. But okay, I finish off on the same question every time. And if there's a penalty that needs scored to save your life, who takes the penalty?
Well, you're not going to get the answer you get for Abdias, because it certainly wouldn't be me.
Did you ever take penalties in your career?
I took 2 penalties for Huntley. Mm-hmm. I scored no penalties for Huntley. I missed them both. That's why I didn't attack them. Again, I took one against Locos. It was like 4 or 5-0. And boy took me down the last minute. I said, oh, I'll just have it. That's when I was getting a bit. I was the elder statesman.
Right, okay.
I'll take it and missed. And then I was one up at Clach early on in the game again when I was a lot older. And I missed it. But I scored a hat-trick in the game, but I missed it. So it definitely wouldn't be me. And the best player I've ever seen take penalties is Matt Letizia, so we'll go with him.
Fantastic.
I'm not sure. I think he maybe missed one, but
47 out of 48, was it, Ryan?
Yep. That's the 4th time we've had my Matt Letizia on.
That's my era. Like, he never looked like missing. Again.
No.
And you see him. Shearer's a bit like that now, but I don't think he would have had a record, Letizia.
Well, I've just been on a course, an SFA course. Here's one. Have you got a fact for today? Or
no, I didn't.
Okay.
I forgot to play the intro, producer
so I've
versus
got a
the
little
player
bit of
as
a
well.
fact for today. Alan Shearer, most successful Premier League striker of all time. Do you want to know his finishing technique? Aim for the goalkeeper and hit the ball as hard as you can. Yeah.
If in doubt, give it a clout again.
Yeah, pretty much. Aim for the goalkeeper and hit the ball as hard as you can.
That was a thing, again, when you're struggling, when you're through, you're missing. A lot of the old boys would say, he'd do and just get through the bar.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
That was it.
Yeah.
Again, sometimes, and then I'll go through the goalie's legs and you're away again.
Aye.
Confidence. Because scoring, like, if you're a goal scorer, I think it's in you. I don't think you can be taught to be a goal scorer. Again, when you'll take make a run, or you'll think, right, this is maybe end up here. Mm-hmm. And McCoy's the greatest example of how to say, oh, he's lucky. He's not lucky. Aye. He's got that sixth sense to ken for it to be. Ken.
I agree.
And I genuinely believe at any level, if you score goals, you can't be taught.
No.
I don't think so.
No, fantastic, Martin. Thank you very much.
No problem. Thoroughly enjoyed it.
Cheers, pal.
No bother. Cheers.